Hello, I'm Team Kize and welcome to Career Connect, the show where we're speaking about everything you need to know as a young graduate to help you put your best foot forward in the world out there. I'm really excited about today's topic. We're speaking about gaming and we're looking at what is gaming, what do you do to become a gamer, and what does the industry have in store for anybody wanting to go that direction. And my guests today are two gamers and one is a gamer turned businessman. So we're going to get some really juicy insights on that. Welcome, guys.
Hey.
Thanks so much for joining me. Please tell me, what do you do?
Well, age before beauty, so I'll get going. My name is Barry. My gamer tag is Anthrax. I used to play professional gaming, and now I run a production house that runs million rand tournaments in this country, and it's good fun. It really is, and that's where it all started. Was me starting to play games at home.
Okay.
So personally, I'm just a small town boy, I started gaming when I was about 4, somehow made it into the competitive scene around 2008. Since then, I've just stuck in the scene, it's been great.
He's playing it down though. I mean,
yeah, because the industry.
Too many great things to say. There's too many great things. So where do I start? The people are great.
The
community is very tight knit, and it's just where it's heading right now. It's a very awesome industry to be in.
Okay, so Barry, two things you said: Anthrax and million rand industry. What is an Anthrax?
Okay, so Anthrax is my nickname.
Okay.
It's what I play online. His is Nefan, which is a play on his actual name, which is Stefan. But mine was just like, I was around in the 80s, man, and you had to be like aggressive online.
Okay.
And
you had to have the phantoms and
you had to be like
Anthraxes.
angry. It's like if back in the you can't just roll on going, I'm Barry.
You have to be fierce.
So we'll build up the conversation to how there's actually millions to be made or spent in the gaming industry. But for somebody who's watching, they've got no idea what gaming is. What is gaming?
Well, gaming, particularly at this moment, when you sit down and pick up your console controller or play on your PC, that's just casual gaming. But when you step it up to the next level and we start to talk about eSports, which is what we're involved in, that's when you sit like Nefan does, or like I used to, for 8 hours a day. If you can, and you practice, you get into a game. Nefan is Counter-Strike, I was Battlefield. It depends. There's FIFA, there's Dota. Specific titles are bigger than other titles on an international level. But when you start to really enjoy it and you start to find that you're really good at it and you can actually end up at the top, that's when you start to change and turn it into a bit of a career.
Okay, so what are those things that set up the industry? How is the industry set up from somebody who's sitting at home and goes, I'm pretty good at this, I could be a gamer. Well, what's that next?
So firstly, there's no ways you would just sit at home and say you're good. Firstly, you'd have to play online. There's no way other people know about you if you're not online. And that's just more exposure. Once you are online, people can criticize you and say, well, you're not as good as you think you are, so maybe you're not worth a team, and maybe you're only worth an average team, So, and that's how you get into it, and that's how you form where you are in the industry. Just like any other industry, you start at the bottom, right? And then you can work yourself up if you're putting enough time, if you thinking outside the box. Like it really is like any other industry. If you spending time better than others, then you would reach the hierarchy. The top of the hierarchy faster.
So if I think about a lot of other industries and professions that I know of, I think there's sort of clear criteria that people know what it takes to make it to the top. So when you're looking at gaming, it's what makes you a gamer? How when I meet you and say, hi, I'm a gamer, what makes me legit in your eyes?
It's the same way. I think the best way to describe it is when you play football, soccer. You play at home, you kick around with your mates, then you go to the park. And then all of a sudden there's these new kids at the park, and then you kick around with them, and you may have been really good with your mates at home. Then you get to the park, and there's that really big kid who's actually better than you, or you're actually better than everyone at the park, and then it just starts to expand. Then you go to the local football club, and then you get bigger there, and then you're better there, and that's how it goes. And then once you actually put yourself on that stage, once people, and as underground as it seems, within the community, which is really big, it's a really big community. I mean, I think for the first time the other day, 6 months ago or something, I had somebody walk up to me. It's like, oh my God, to Anthrax. Please, can I have?" And I was like,
That's cool.
"It's cool," but it's like it actually gets to that point where within this really large community, people know you. They know you by your nickname, Nefan, Anthrax, Detrini, Akani. All of these guys are household names, and that's when you start to become the gamer. But at heart, everybody's a gamer, because if you've picked up your phone and you've played Candy Crush, or you've played Farmville, or you've played Sims or anything, you're a gamer. Everybody's a gamer. Everybody wants to play games.
Let's talk about that landscape.
I'd even move on and just say that some people play games without even knowing. They play social games, so they don't play our video games. So even
everyone is involved at some point. So let's talk about the landscape. South Africa versus the rest of the world. I see tournaments online. I see huge campaigns overseas. I see in movies people get paid to test out games. What does a South African landscape look like in comparison to the rest of the world for the opportunities available for gamers?
At this moment,
I would say it benefits the guys that are really good right now. It's a very new industry here. I personally only competed for my first time overseas last year. Okay. Some people have had the privilege since about a decade ago. We obviously, firstly, we're rather hoping for more of those opportunities to be able to compete against the overseas teams. Then the local.
Well, I mean, if you're new to esports and gaming, it's fair game for everybody right now. Okay. Anybody who wants to get involved needs to get involved. And if you think you're not good, what have you got to lose? Go to the park and play football and see how good you are. The simple fact is 10 years ago I was overseas in China playing, and right now there's people overseas playing for $1 million. And what Nefan's saying is that's where everybody wants to go. They want to go and test themselves up, like the Rugby World Cup or the Soccer World Cup. That's where you want to get to, because that's where the money is, that's where the fame is, that's where the glory is. And at the end of the day, it's about the glory. It's about being the best. Yeah. So for anybody, and even if we sit here in this room with cameramen and soundmen, that's available in esports. Yeah. And I mean, we can go into that, but there is absolutely all kinds of careers involved in esports, and the space is available for investors, for new players, new gamers, and new anybody.
Mm. And what sort of games are sort of the entry level, very competitive games, and then moving up? So if somebody's sitting at home and they like Candy Crush, but they're like, I think I could do more of this. Where do they want to be playing, and what platforms should they be exposing themselves to really legitimize their gaming skills?
Well, popular games are, my game personally, Counter-Strike, is very popular. And the reason for that is because there's a lot of action. It's a lot of the visuals is what really draws the people as a spectator sport as well. So it's always just good to start there. At the popular games, your Dota 2, your Counter-Strike, League of Legends, StarCraft 2, you are between those four games already. The genres are so broad that you are going to find something that you're going to like. And Call of Duty is also another action.
One of the things you need to realize, and it's a process. It's a step. So the first place people generally start is console. It's the easiest thing for you to do. You pick up a PlayStation, you pick up an Xbox, Correct. You plug it into your TV, and you go. Then you want to get older, and it's like buying a new car. You get that car, and then it's like, it's nice, but I want to put speakers in it. I want to put mags on it. I want to soup this bad boy up. And that's what PC does. So you start to allow yourself that flexibility of being able to upgrade and change and add and customize and all of that kind of thing. So when you start, you're going to go into console because it's the easiest gateway into gaming. Yeah. You get yourself Call of Duty, you get yourself FIFA, all of those kinds of things. If you find yourself not really wanting to compete, playing those kinds of competitive games, if you find yourself playing a game that doesn't involve any sort of competition, then you're a gamer. But if you want to play FIFA or you want to play Call of Duty, then you're moving in that right direction. And if you're really good and you're just like finishing the game or you're playing online, and then you start to make your way into that level. Okay,
we need to take a quick break, but we'll pick up on that after the break and chat about a bit more on how you actually progress in the gaming industry. To catch more content about becoming a gamer or understanding about different careers available in the gaming industry, do stay tuned here to Career Connect only on Business Day TV. Hello, I'm Siggy Mkhize and welcome back to Career Connect. We're speaking about gaming today, helping you understand what does a career as a gamer look like and what are some of the options available to you if you want to go into the gaming industry. And I'm sitting with Stefan and Gary, who are both quite seasoned gamers. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. So before the break, we were talking about, what the gaming industry and the landscape looks like. So you want to be competitive, you want to think about the games where there is lots of competition and opportunity for you to start showcasing your skills. And the idea generally is to build yourself up to a place where you're not competing in big competitions and you're recognized and people can come and ask you for an autograph or something. Does it cost to be a gamer? If I'm doing this at home, do I need to be investing money in order to be able to do this?
Well, we started off with, like we said, getting a console. You start off with, if you want to play any kind of game, it's going to cost you about $5,000. You want to play a PlayStation, computer, whatever. And the simple fact is that you get to the point where you need to either find a way to invest in yourself as a career. So we mentioned earlier, if you want to play golf, you need to get yourself a set of golf clubs. If you want to play football, you need football boots. So some sports are always going to be cheaper than others, but the reward can end up being tenfold, where you get into a good team like Nefan has, where you can actually get sponsored or paid a salary, or these guys are given money to play. So you can fund yourself and get those. You can play in the smaller competitions where you can win hardware for your PC, buy your monitors and your whatever. But it's a process. You can either have a rich dad or mom who will buy the stuff for you, or you can, like me, where I started off with my own PC and eventually just built it up out of little pieces of scraps and saved up money and upgraded as you went along.
I get that. So, and on the flip side of that is, how do I make money as a gamer? So if I'm really pursuing this as a career, where are the opportunities to actually progress?
There really are so many. If we just touch on some professions in the industry, you get your casters, you get your organizers, you get your players, you get your MGO owners, the organization owners. They at this point probably are making a decent salary. Some of them are reaching a point where they're getting comfortable salaries, but that is also just at the top. Soon we'll start seeing everyone move there. It's a matter of time.
Okay.
Well, you have, on top of that, you have your tournaments. Okay. So last year we had one tournament in this country where gamers had to play for an entire year. And that's probably why it's almost exploded, hasn't it? Like all of a sudden, people are just talking about eSports. And this year, we've now got five tournaments in Counter-Strike, CSGO, that amount to almost 5 million rand in prize money. That's where the money comes from. And that's where you have businesses getting involved, because it becomes about brand awareness and brand association. So we had 210,000 people watch our stream in the space of 2 days.
That's amazing.
And you kind of ask yourself, what value is that to somebody, a business, a marketing company? So people today that are watching this show are probably watching it online, if I'm not mistaken, and they're not sitting in front of a TV with your conventional, where the adverts are there, or driving down the road with the billboards. These are guys that are mobile. They've got a laptop. They've got a cell phone. And that's where people are watching these games. That's how, we as individuals are starting to express ourselves through this mobile platform. And therein is how the money is made, from the business investing into the gaming and the gamer playing, investing his time into it and getting paid a salary, and then in turn winning prize money, where they can take home almost 400,000 rand, the winning team, and split it amongst themselves.
And not to overlook the sponsorships exposure in that tournament. Like they do get a lot of exposure. Correct.
So how do I build myself up to salary earning level? What does the landscape look like for me to actually earn a salary from gaming?
From a gamer's perspective, that's a whole separate thing, but it's not just gaming that, like, as being a player, a physical player, that you can make money. Again, I mentioned and I touched on it earlier, you can be a cameraman, you can be a sound guy, because there are commentators. I cast, which is commentary for gaming, it's called shoutcasting. There's commentators that commentate over these games. If you understand the game and you know what's happening and you can make it sound entertaining, then you can make money. There are lighting and hosts,
Events,
MCs, panels. There's event management, there's marketing management, there's graphic editors, there's designers, there's film producers. I mean,
so literally anything that you can
anything
think
you
of
can
to
think
support
of.
this space,
Absolutely.
you can find a job there. Stefan, what makes a good team?
Good people make a good team. No, but when I meant good people, I mean like good people. You know, people that are gonna respect the social rules. Firstly, you know, you're not gonna. Otherwise, you end up having a lot of conflict outside of the game, and that's not what you want. So I would definitely put that out first. Like, even if it's a band of friends, the chances of them making it more successful is more likely than, you know, people that are good but don't like each other.
Yeah.
And so you've had a lot of local experience. You went overseas last year. You've also had good experience on both sides. Where is the future of gaming going in South Africa?
We need to get to a point in South Africa where, firstly, the general population understands that it's a sport. It's not just games. It's not some kid playing in a basement wasting his life. There are good people, really good people I've met in my 20 years in gaming that are brain surgeons, that are lawyers, that are accountants, these are good people. I mean, and just because the word game is there doesn't mean it's a game. And the simple fact is that when you've got competitions overseas exceeding $20 million US prize pool, and we've gone from 500,000 Rand to 500,000 Rand in 1 year, there has to be something there.
That acknowledgement and that community to actually build it up. On your end, going from gamer to businessman in the industry, you know, what does the eSports look like, and how do you actually build a business in the space?
So I had this idea for 15 years. You know, when I first went overseas, it was it had manifested into this, that we play games here in South Africa, but not on the same level as what they do overseas. Sure. And I thought there has to be something better here. We have to be doing something better in esports in this country. And eventually I put together a business plan. It always starts with a business plan. Every time I spoke to someone, they're just like, okay, what's your business plan? And like, you sit down and you think, gaming, how do you put this onto paper? How do you tell people that it's going to happen? And then I spoke to my mentor, and he said to me, explain to me what this esports thing is. So I explained it to him. He's like, okay, now you've got to imagine that you're explaining this to a board of directors. They're going to ask you, how am I going to make my money? And at the end of the day, you've just got to have that passion. And one of the things he said is, why do you want to do this? And I said, because I love, for the love of the gamers. Because I was one. I remember walking with my case and playing for hours in a dark room for next to nothing. And the simple fact is that he said, well, remember why you're doing it, the love of the gamers, and always remember that as long as you remember that point, the rest will follow. So taking it from there, eventually I found an investor who believed in me as a person and my business plan. And taking it from there, I had a very, very specific goal and idea as to how it should be done. And I've just stuck with that and stayed with it. And then Nefan mentioned it earlier, you need good people. And I get exactly what he's saying, because the people that are with you are what make your business as good as it can be. Because if people don't believe in your vision, then you're not going anywhere fast.
Cool. How do we get kids gaming in the country? I mean, I see a lot of stuff happening around getting more people learning how to code. You know, there's lots of activations around
Learn to
coding.
code, right? That initiative.
It's so cool, right? So how do we get young people gaming? How do we start exposing young people to the sport and, you know, making it a real avenue for them?
From my perspective, unless you've got an answer, I think the idea is to remove that stigmatism.
Firstly, and I think people weren't wrong about that stereotype 20 years ago. That probably was the case, but the amount of people that moved into this industry, it's so widespread, you know, that you can't say, oh, this particular gamer group are a bunch of nerds, because it's just not true. We've got people that are not nerds, you know, if we know what I mean.
The simple fact
Some
is,
jocks.
if you see me walking down the street in shorts and short sleeve shirt, tattoos and whatnot, you wouldn't say that I'm a gamer. You wouldn't look at me and
Correct.
say that guy's a gamer. And the simple fact is that stigmatism is gone. Gamers are not lazy. The best gamers in the world, those guys who play for $1 million,
They'll
20
be
million, they have dietitians, they have fitness instructors, they have nutritionists, they have psychologists, all of this kind of stuff. And it's about being healthy.
Yeah.
If you want to be competitive and healthy, you can't be eating the unhealthy junk foods. You can't be drinking the Cokes and the fizzy drinks that don't help you, they give you those lows and those highs.
You're a sportsman, so you got to be really good and do well at your job. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. I really appreciate it. That's the industry on gaming. Thank you so much for watching today. And if you want to see more great content, do stay tuned to Business Day TV for Career Connect only on Saturdays and Sundays.